Welcome to our deep dive into the Trial of Socrates. Today, we will let the words of Socrates himself guide us through this pivotal moment in history, as recorded by his student Plato in Apology. The year is 399 BCE. Socrates, the great philosopher, stands before an Athenian jury, accused of corrupting the youth and impiety. As he begins his defense, his words resonate with the timeless pursuit of truth and virtue.
How you have felt, O men of Athens, at hearing the speeches of my accusers, I cannot tell. But I know that their persuasive words almost made me forget who I was, such was the effect of them. And yet they have hardly spoken a word of truth. But many as their falsehoods were, there was one of them which quite amazed me. I mean when they told you to be upon your guard and not to let yourselves be deceived by the force of my eloquence. To use such language is an utter shamelessness on their part, unless by the force of eloquence they mean the force of truth. For if such is their meaning, I admit that I am eloquent, but in how different a way from theirs. Well, as I was saying, they have scarcely uttered a word, or not more than a word, of truth. But you shall hear from me the whole truth, not, however, delivered after their manner, in a set oration duly ornamented with words and phrases. No, by heaven! But I shall use the words and arguments which occur to me at the moment. For I am certain that this is right, and that at my time of life I ought not to be appearing before you, O men of Athens, in the character of a juvenile orator. Let no one expect this of me.
Socrates discusses the origins of the accusations against him and addresses the prejudices and rumors that have plagued his reputation.
Chaerephon, as you know, was very impetuous in all his doings, and he went to Delphi and boldly asked the oracle to tell him whether there was anyone wiser than I was, and the Pythian prophetess answered that there was no man wiser. Chaerephon is dead himself, but his brother, who is in court, will confirm the truth of this story.
He explains how he interpreted the oracle's message by questioning those who were reputed to be wise, finding that they often lack true wisdom.
When I left the politicians, I went to the poets, tragic, dithyrambic, and all sorts. And there, I said to myself, you will be detected. Now you will find out that you are more ignorant than they are. Accordingly, I took them some of the most elaborate passages in their own writings, and asked what was the meaning of them, thinking that they would teach me something. Will you believe me? I am almost ashamed to speak of this, but still, I must say that there is hardly a person present who would not have talked better about their poetry than they did themselves. That showed me in an instant that not by wisdom do poets write poetry, but by a sort of genius and inspiration.
Socrates then addresses the jury directly, defending his mission as a philosopher and his method of questioning.
Someone will say, "And are you not ashamed, Socrates, of a course of life which is likely to bring you to an untimely end?" To him I may fairly answer, "There you are mistaken. A man who is good for anything ought not to calculate the chance of living or dying. He ought only to consider whether in doing anything he is doing right or wrong, acting the part of a good man or of a bad. Whereas, according to your view, the heroes who fell at Troy were not good for much, and the son of Thetis above all, who altogether despised danger in comparison with disgrace. And when his goddess mother said to him, in his eagerness to slay Hector, that if he avenged his companion Patroclus and slew Hector, he would die himself, fate, as she said, waits upon you next after Hector. He, hearing this, utterly despised danger and death, and instead of fearing them, feared rather to live in dishonor, and not to avenge his friend. Let me die next, he replies, and be avenged of my enemy, rather than abide here by the beaked ships, a scorn and a burden of the earth. Had Achilles any thought of death and danger? For wherever a man's place is, whether the place which he has chosen or that in which he has been placed by a commander, there he ought to remain in the hour of danger. He should not think of death or of anything, but of disgrace. And this, O men of Athens, is a true saying.
Despite his eloquent defense, the jury found Socrates guilty. His response to the verdict remains one of the most profound moments in the history of philosophy.
For if you think that by killing men you can prevent someone from censuring your evil lives, you are mistaken. That is not a way of escape which is either possible or honorable. The easiest and noblest way is not to be disabling others, but to be improving yourselves. This is the prophecy which I utter before my departure to the judges who have condemned me.
Socrates' final words were a poignant reflection on life, death, and the pursuit of truth.
The hour of departure has arrived, and we go our ways, I to die, and you to live. Which is better God only knows.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the trial of Socrates. His words continue to inspire and challenge us to seek wisdom and virtue above all else. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more historical explorations. See you next time.